Hello everybody, it's Rendon. Hope you're doing well. Hope your invasions have been going well. Hope everything in your life is going well, etc. Now that Shadow of the Erdtree has been out for a little while, I wanted to give my 2 cents on Elden Ring, on Shadow of the Erdtree, on invasions, all of it. This will be my interpretation about how this latest iteration of From Software has been from the eyes of a dastardly red man. I know that recently the content and the algorithm have been geared towards negativity. I know that negativity has taken aim at all the things that Elden Ring has done wrong, what it can improve on but never did, and recently even Steam reviews have been mixed, though that's for a different reason. But it all blends and echoes together. I've never really been a pessimist in this community. I think that's pretty obvious. I've been what you would call a resigned optimist. Resigned in the sense that I realized after a year or so into the game cycle that we were probably never going to get PvP covenants, we were never going to get solo host invasions, we were never going to get every single thing that we wanted that we had in Dark Souls 3. And an optimist because I was still and still am excited about the things that the game would include and has included. I've had a great time with Elden Ring, and I'm not someone who's eternally upset with what it has not been. And I think that's the healthiest way to be. To sum all this up, Elden Ring has never and was never going to be that focused invasion and PvP game that a lot of the community wanted. Because From Software by necessity had to choose what they wanted to prioritize in a game this big. People could argue, well, if they put it out a year later, maybe they could have added more of these systems with a greater polish. I don't think with an open world game like Elden Ring that the invasion and PvP side was ever going to be perfect. We all saw Torrent in those big open fields and had the same thought. What are invasions going to be like in these zones? And unsurprisingly, they're not great. They're often pretty terrible. Invasions were never going to be as tight and well tuned as they were in older versions of the Souls series, but they made that conscious decision because this is the direction they wanted the game to go in. I'm hoping, and I am hopeful, that the next game we get that has this complete Souls formula will be a stronger, denser, more balanced version than Elden Ring, like a Bloodborne or some sort of Demon Souls, Dark Souls blend that has covenants, balanced PvP and invasions, incredible arenas. That is what I'm hopeful for, and I think a lot in the community are too. I do not believe this game is ever going to get those things, and that is okay. I know what to expect from this game. I know what I like about it, I have made my peace with it, and I enjoy Elden Ring for what it is. Now, I'm not saying that people who voice complaints, or that are trying to get From Software to make changes, are doing something bad, terrible, laughable, none of that. I'm just saying, I think that some of the energy is a little wasted because it's not going to happen in the way that they want it to. And I think a lot of those creators know that. I think that if they're honest with themselves, they know that it's not going to change. And they say it themselves at the start of their videos, pretty much all the time. As a disclaimer, I don't think these things are going to happen. And they're probably not. From Software could do those things. It could all change tomorrow. And I would be thrilled if it happened. But I don't foresee that. So I am just again enjoying the pieces that have been really good. I love Elden Ring. It's easily one of my top games of all time. I like it as much, if not more, than I like Dark Souls 3. One thing you'll commonly hear is that people really liked solo invasions in Dark Souls 3. I don't miss solo host invasions. I've gotten so used to fighting 2, 3, 6 people over time in invasions that solo hosts don't really present much of a challenge to me anymore. Stomping all over solo players that don't understand invasions is not fun, and I know it's not fun for them. So unless it's someone who has a really interesting build, or they're good at the game and have put in a similar amount of time that I have, it's not going to be entertaining for me. If Elden Ring has chosen to be the system that doesn't prioritize solo host invasions because this is meant to be more of a PvE game overall, then I understand that. I'm glad that they made that decision. I hope that future games will encourage ways of play that aren't just geared towards L2 spamming and relying on 2 Phantoms or really overpowered weapons to walk you through the experience. I don't know that that's going to be the case, but I have to believe, and I have to have some optimism that it will be that way. There are some things that Dark Souls 3 did better. We all know that's the case. An example of a weapon that I always like to bring up that Dark Souls 3 did do better was the Partisan. It had a weapon art that was essentially just spinning slash that could flow so seamlessly into R1s and other attack chains. It just felt so good. You could halt aggression with it, roll catch, it was great at chase downs, you could make whole builds around that weapon. It just worked. That said, Shadow of the Erdtree has come out with incredible new weapon types like the Light Greatsword and Great Katana, which gives me a lot of hope for the design of weapons From Software can make in the future. I have a lot of optimism and hope is the theme, as you can tell, for what comes next. Because they've shown and are showing that they're iterating on things, that they're making. It's no longer just straight sword, great sword, big axe. I think we're going to get the game that we as invaders want. I just don't think it's this one. Now that's sad to a certain extent, right? I think that a lot of Reds were hoping this would be the next and improved iteration on the mechanic that we love. But it's just not. To be fair though, if you're a Red, you have some patience that a lot of other players won't have in this game because it's necessary. Fighting 2 or 3 people who can chain you to death in the space of 3 seconds necessitates that you can't just run in and engage. You're going to die if you do. So you have to think about your approach and manage resources effectively. All of this takes patience. Again, I'm not touting some sort of superior Sigma Red mindset. We just play in a different way because we have to. Of course, it's a little bit disappointing that From Software didn't make this part of that game the main aspect they focus on. It was always going to breed disappointment, but that's just how it is. If you're going to really feel bad for a faction of people in this game, feel bad for blues. And I know there's a lot of disdain out there for blues in the community. I share it, but they're the real losers in this. They are the most irrelevant PvP faction in a game that already doesn't prioritize it. 90% of the time, at best, they're used as cannon fodder by the host and Phantom in an attempt to clear the Red from the level, and they're not getting any rewards we're not getting. They're not getting any noteworthy incentives for this help. Reds will have no respect for them because they seemingly don't have any self-awareness regarding the situation either. They're stuck in this no man's land where people will use them and discard them. And that kind of sucks, that they've been plugged into the system in that role. There's nothing cool left about being a blue like there was in the old games. Best case, they kill the invader, they wave at the host and Phantom in solidarity, and the host and Phantom just walk away pretending like they're not there. I'm sure you've seen it. If I have a point in all this, it's that I have really, really enjoyed Shadow of the Erdtree. I have really enjoyed Elden Ring. None of this has dulled my appetite for Invasions or for what From Software is going to make next. I will be a Red for as long as I can be. That being said, I'm also going to be a dad soon. So that's going to take away from some of the time I can really spend engaging in this passion. But I've got plenty of energy left in me for Invasions. I will be doing this for as long a time as From puts out games with Invasions in it. I'll do it until 60 or 70 if From Software will keep doing this formula, or if other games do. I will always jump in because I love it. The final thing that I will say is that if you're a blue, if you're a host, a Phantom, and you have never tried Invasions, again, I will encourage you to try. And if you're looking at it and saying, Rendon, fighting 2 or 3 people and doing Invasions in Elden Ring sounds awful, you're right. But it can also be really, really fun. I am so glad. I don't even remember how I started. But I am so glad I started invading in Dark Souls 3 because I've had so much fun. I've squeezed every ounce of enjoyment possible out of these games in a way that not even the PvE could give me. I adore them, and I adore Invasions even more. I've gotten access to a community, to friends, to just really cool people that I would never have had the chance to interact with if I didn't get into Invasions. So if you're nervous about hitting that finger, about trying it out, don't be. Just do it. People may be mean to you, they may teabag you, they may point down at you, they may send you mean messages. Ignore all of them. None of that matters. Do it because it's fun, because there's a possibility you might enjoy it. I highly encourage people to try it. I would be doing you a disservice based on how much enjoyment I've gotten out of it if I didn't try to get you to do it one more time. That's it. Those are my thoughts on Elden Ring. I know that there's like 10 more minutes of this invasion. How long is this invasion? You can find out if you wait till the end. See how many more blues die. See if I actually beat the host and the phantom. Maybe I do. Maybe I don't. Anyway, that's everything. I will be in Italy for the next 2 weeks after this comes out with my wife. We are going for an overdue vacation to the land of Azael. So maybe I'll run into him there. Obviously, I won't know who he is, but I like to think that we will be sitting at the same cafe. I'll be drinking an espresso. He'll be drinking an espresso, if he drinks coffee. He will look up, and I will look up. We'll look into each other's eyes and have a moment where we just know. And then we'll tip our cappuccinos at each other and then go about our day. It's really stupid. I love you guys. All right.